I really appreciate this opportunity to make a few brief comments here this evening, and thank you for providing this forum. I'm Alice Green, and I'm a criminal justice professional who resides in Albany, New York. I'm also the executive director of the Center for Law and Justice, which is a community-based Capital Region civil and human rights organization. The center was founded in 1985 and will celebrate 30 years of work on criminal justice and public safety issues in the Capital Region. The center was born in the midst of serious concern over police brutality and deep mistrust between police departments and communities of color in the Tri-Cities area. And we have long been concerned about these issues in Troy. While I was not present during the January 25th disturbance at Kokopelli's nightclub, and therefore don't really know what happened, however, I have viewed several video segments that are extremely disturbing, and I understand why many in Troy community are angry, deeply disturbed, and disappointed. But the question now is, where do we go from here to achieve justice and public safety for all of us? We believe that it is, first of all, crucial that an independent investigation be launched to determine what happened and what went wrong. It appears that many, including your police chief, public safety committee chairman, and others, are all in agreement that such an investigation should be done. As we all know, the Troy African American Pastoral Alliance has already filed a complaint with the U.S. Department of Justice. The Center for Law and Justice supports that move, and we have signed onto that letter. Amen. Second, we believe that the Kokopelli incident and the community's reaction to it may be symptomatic of some major problems in this city that must be seriously addressed if the public safety is to be secured and equal justice and treatment extended to all the people of this community. A recent study carried out by the Center for Law and Justice and presented in this community a little over a year ago unveils some major concerns. Our examination of official data and interviews reveal several disturbing facts based on 2010 data that strongly suggests that people of color are treated very differently in Troy. In this city, more than half of the arrests were of people of color, though they make up only a third of the population. Second thing we found was that in Rensselaer County, and mainly in the city of Troy, people of color who represented 14% of the general population, but 37% of those who were convicted. Also in the county, people of color representation among prison sentences is nearly 4 times their representation in the general population. And we were extremely disturbed by that statistic. We also know that Troy's police department had only 4 African Americans out of its force of 127 officers. This disparity in the treatment of people of color, we believe, has its genesis in forces that include poverty, institutional racism, policing, and the low level of mistrust that exists between people of color and the Troy Police Department. To begin to address the law enforcement issues, we strongly recommend that Troy seriously embrace real community policing, much in the way that Albany has done over the past several years. It's been a long fight in Albany, but we believe we're making progress. We've begun to improve the relationship between the department and the community. As a result, public safety is definitely improving. Community policing, which has two complementary core components, and they are community partnerships and problem solving. We believe that there are several steps that need to be taken in order for this community to move closer to community policing so that there can be justice. And I'm going to mention several of them. Community and government leaders must make a firm commitment to the philosophy of community policing. Troy must clarify who is in charge of the police department, first of all. And require that he or she be well educated and trained in community policing. Second, the department must become transparent in its policies and operations. You should think in terms of developing a community police advisory committee, such as that in Albany, and it must be set up and welcomed as part of the law enforcement team. Another one is that police and community must establish that equal partnership that I'm talking about with mutual respect for each other. It can't just be in one direction. Troy's Citizen Police Review Board, or whatever you call it, must be improved and include a mediation component so that complainants and police can satisfactorily resolve issues and learn from each other. Again, with significant public input, the Troy Police Department must develop a strategic plan from a community policing perspective. Then, the head of the police department should make an annual report to the Troy City Council detailing its operations and progress. Then, major new law enforcement policies, practices, and legislation should include a racial impact statement. We can no longer afford to pass laws without knowing what that impact is going to be on people of color. Then the city and its residents should work together to improve the hiring of police officers of color to a level that reflects their representation in the population. While we recognize how extremely difficult this is, it is possible. And finally, I suggest that Troy look closely at how community policing is developing and in Albany and borrow from its success. There's much that can be learned. But now is the time to abandon the empty rhetoric. The community must not leave public safety to the police alone. It must actively and aggressively work to develop that true partnership. Again, I thank you for this opportunity to make these few remarks. and I look forward to working with Troy as it resolves the issues before it, which are paramount to any kind of public safety that can be achieved. Thank you.